Good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm glad you showed up. Of course, nobody's showing up to the videos right now, which I find suspiciously strange. Gives me things to ponder. I watch YouTube videos, all kinds of YouTube videos. I love YouTube. Anything I want to learn, I can learn. I can just watch a video on it. It doesn't mean you learn something, it means it gave you a new idea in which you can go research and see if it's real or not, and if it's applicable. Which is the point of this video, is free thinking. The ability to think for yourself. I know I've been really hitting it like some low hanging fruit lately, it seems like. I'm talking about things that we understand the concepts of, right? And we act accordingly, don't we? But how much of it's free thought? How much of it is ours? We're going to get into that a little bit today. Because I have a suspicion, just a little one, that a lot of the thought processes in the world are learned behaviors. They're learned things. And not because you came up with it, because in fear you accepted somebody else's truth. So let's get into it. And I'm going to start right at the top to give you a blatant example of why you absolutely should probably listen to this video. Politics. Oh, I know some of you hate politics. I don't like politics either. I feel uninformed. And I know some of you feel really informed. So we're going to talk about that and see which one of us is on the right track with it. Because we have polar opposite ideas here. So they must be discussed. In fact, the things that I discuss, you could almost say most of you have the polar opposite idea of how it is, what it is, how it works, everything else. So you could say that I'm playing devil's advocate in every last one of these videos. So let's talk about politics for free thinking. Let's start with the fact that you believe, not me, and if this doesn't apply to you, why are you offended? You believe that because you voted, you made a good decision. It's not whether or not you voted, it's who you voted for. And it's not that I like Harris or Trump or anyone else. It's nothing to do with that. It's just that you voted feeling educated about your decision. That's the free thinking part I want to speak on. Do any of you know the president-elect at all? Nope. Do any of you know any of the people in politics? Nope. Have you eaten any of their houses? Have you worked next to them in a yard? Have you watched them tell the truth in a situation where it would fuck them up to tell the truth? Are any of the things that you require to even have somebody in your life, do you have any of that knowledge about any of the people that you expect to lead this country at all? Nope. Not one of you. None of you are in the know. And the worst part is all of your education comes from TV. Not one of you, even that you follow politics, even if you're a reporter, you absolutely don't have a fraction of the real story of who that person is, how they really think, how they really feel. None of it. You don't have the information. You're a fucking liar if you say you do. You don't. So why is it that we have a system where we don't know the people at all and somehow they're running the country, making the policies that dictate how each and every one of us live? How does that work? How would that even be possible? Oh, yeah, you decided you were educated and you made a decision into the system that requires you to be a mass consensus. That nothing more. You don't get a name. We don't care about you where you were born. Which of the two names do you think we should have run the country? And let us give you a bunch of propaganda bullshit on TV for you to be educated about. So, where's the free thinking in that? Well, let's go into another major one that matters. Religion. You believe in God. You believe in some kind of God. You believe in the absence of God. You believe in the devil. You believe in the books. You believe in science. You believe in something. It's not because you're the most expert person in the world on that field of thought or process or concept, are you? No. No, 90% of everything you believe is based solely on faith in things that aren't actually happening in your life, aren't they? How come if you're free of sin, you keep feeling so guilty and re-sinning? How come you have to have somebody tell you every day that you go to church, Jesus died for your sins, and you're only saved if you show up for church next Sunday, or if you do a ritual, or you sacrifice somebody? It's all the way across the board. But your free thinking is that you're fully educated on what you believe. And in that willful ignorance of, oh, I believe this, and I know it's true because look at all these people over here say it, with no applicable life experience in the subject that you're willing to treat other people badly over. It's not just that, free thinking and free will, you have the free will not to be a free thinker, but you don't have the free will to shit on somebody else's life just because you want to remain blissfully ignorant. That's not how it works. And you've been taught that that's how it works. But how come the way that they teach you that it works fucks your life up? Fucks how you feel up about yourself. Fucks how you interact with people. Fucks what you want in life. How come greed and comfort is something you're not willing to sacrifice for truth? So I've thought about this. Like, how do we identify whether or not we're having the thought and we're free thinking, or if we're being told what to think and we're choosing whether or not to do so? It's really easy. There's this sliding scale that I've found this entire thing. It works perfectly. It's a perfect balance all the time. It's how you share information. Communication itself is either the birth or the death of free thinking. So let me show you how this works. Let me pull back the veil and pull apart free thinking for you so it's really easy for you to grasp. And maybe you already grasp it. Maybe you already get this completely. Maybe. But I think that if a bunch of people thought this way, the world wouldn't be the way it is. I think that it wouldn't take very many people free thinking to destroy the current regime of being told how to think and how to feel and how to act. I think personally that it wouldn't take too many free thinkers to destroy the system. And not because it needs, oh God, burn it down and all that, because we could do better free thinking. Like 50 people could probably get together and do better with free thought than all of the world currently is doing. That's my hypothesis or hypotenuse. I never say that word right. It's something about when my teeth don't fit. But this concept of free thought, how? How? It's a big one. It took me many years of reflection to come to this conclusion. And hopefully it won't take you many years to take my reflection and go apply it to some other shit. Free thinking requires the ability to think freely, to examine all things however you want. And you can be wrong. You can free think about things that scientifically aren't possible, mathematically aren't possible. Your free will to free think in any direction is absolute. It's when they limit you. That's when you know you got a wolf. And I don't care what the subject is. But the second they tell you how you should think based on these facts, It's not that that person doesn't mean well. Maybe they mean the best intention in the world, and based on the facts that they've experienced, this is truth, and other people need to know about it. They want to share facts. So they just shared facts. And they told you about things, and they let you figure it out on your own. That's free thinking. That's sharing free thought. Hey, XYZ happened. I don't know if it ever happened to you before. It did happen to me. This is the weird shit that I experienced from it. I'm going to stay away from that situation based on XYZ. That's it. That's perfect communication. That's perfect sharing. That's perfect love. That is absolutely the crux of data. Here's data. It's on a sheet. These are the parameters of why this data exists. This is what the data concluded. This is what we currently believe. That's it. The second it gets out of free thought, it goes like this. Jesus died for your sins. That's it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's it. And you go, well, watch my free thought on that. If Jesus died for my sins, then everything that was sin before he died is no longer sin. If he's already paid the price for murder and gluttony and all of those other things, the 7 deadly sins, if Jesus already died for those sins, then I cannot sin by doing those things. It's already paid for. It's not subject, it's not nothing. You see how weird it gets and how defensive you got really quick in your head trying to tell me the word of God? But the logic defeats itself completely. It breaks it all the way down. How could Jesus have paid for those sins if there's still sin? That means Jesus didn't pay for them. And you say, oh, no, you got to believe. No, listen. The second an absolute truth happened, which is what you have your entire religion based on, shouldn't you have shifted what's sin? Just by definition, not by argument or dogma or anything else, or whether or not you believe. Shouldn't you be able to shoot somebody in their fucking face now and not go to hell because Jesus paid for it? Or didn't he? Anything that requires you to believe without proof, anybody that tells you to think a certain way based on how they think, it's not free thinking. It's needing to expand your own self. It's needing to take over other people's life paths and other people's thought processes. It's, to me, that's, I guess, a sin. When you lie to people and you treat them like they're too dumb to be able to be taught. Okay, I'm unintelligent when it comes to the basic procedure of this. If your mindset is, if I give you the information, you may or may not learn it, that's free thinking. If you give me the information and tell me that's how it has to be done and I have to do it this way and that's how it is because it's always how it's been done, and look at all these things in the tradition and all the other shit that you put behind it to re-emphasize that this is what you need from another person, fuck you. Go do it yourself the way you want to do it. Stay limited. See the difference? You see the difference between wanting to grow the idea and wanting to keep an idea stagnant as it is because it benefits you, not because it's going to benefit the next person, not because they could take your idea and rip it all the way apart and make something 1,000 times better with it. No, you need control over how people think about it. And in that, you're a wolf. You're hunting sheep. You're attempting to treat people like they're not intelligent enough to make their own decisions about things. You've somehow come across this mindset that makes you in a different category than other human beings, and therefore, you should be in charge. Or there's a system in place that allows you to be in charge over people you couldn't even tie their fucking shoes, and you're telling them how to believe in God. You couldn't smile through 1 ounce of their pain, but you're telling them they should take pills to be happy. There's this huge sliding scale in the world of you shouldn't think for yourself. You shouldn't think about politics for yourself. You shouldn't think about how they're actually affecting everything. You shouldn't think about resources except for yourself. And the fact that we throw away more food than there are people to eat it every fucking day. You should only think about your own bills. You should only think about your own house. And other people that aren't in a house, well, that's their problem. That's why we're so close to social collapse. Why? Because they've told you that you should be racist, and they told you you should be sexist, and they told you you should be political, and they told you you should be religious, and they told you what you can believe, and they even gave you an exact amount. There's not a sliding scale where there's some extra gods that most people don't know about. There's an exact number of deities that you can believe in. There's an exact number of political parties that you can vote for. There's an exact number of money that you can have. There's an exact amount of properties you can have before you need to balance it against the system with things that you have to pay back. And then there's loopholes, so you can absolutely pay no taxes. Trump pays no taxes. Why do you think that is? Because the laws exist. Isn't it funny that if you play by the rules, then they tell you how to think and you stay in the lines, that you can color in as many colors as you want? You can be a rich bastard. But the second you try to be a helpful rich bastard, you're going to get smashed on. The second you become free thinking, you're hit. No matter what you do, the second that you raise your head up just a little bit to look around, everyone around's been programmed to tear you back down in the pot like you're just a pot full of crabs. And that's just based on free thinking. It's not based on anything else. If you weren't afraid of whatever it is that you're afraid of that keeps you on that straight and narrow all the time, what would you do with your life? Would you suddenly go bad? Would most of you suddenly become axe murderers and run around and destroy the universe? Is that what you're afraid of? Are you really afraid that in some way, shape, or form that the only thing that holds you together is the social constructs of laws and regulations and tax? Do you really think that's what makes you human? I'm surprised that, oh wait, they have. For you to be born, the parents must pay tens of thousands of dollars. They put a tax on you the second you're here. Child tax. I know I'm seeming like I'm rambling a little bit, but I've already delivered the message. If someone's telling you what to believe based on the data, fuck them. If someone's telling you how to act or think or anything else and you do it, it's fake, you're going to fuck up. You're not going to be able to hang on to it. You're not going to get to keep being that person. Eventually, your true self will show through. And probably at the most embarrassing times, right when you needed that knowledge, right when you needed that faith, right when you needed that truth, right when you needed that procedure, right there is when they actually understand that, nope. And then you become a pariah. You become a Judas. You become somebody that no one can deal with because you're a liar. Let me give you an example. I went to prison. There were a bunch of racist people in there. Not a shit ton, but just about everybody. And it wasn't even they were racist before they went to jail, or it was a gang thing. When you get to prison, it's segregated. Unless maybe you're at like low securities, I don't know. I spent time in high security. But it's all segregated by color. And as soon as you get there, they figure out who you are, if your paperwork's good, where you're going to sit, if you're part of a gang, the whole 9 yards. It's all figured out for you by people that are specifically there for no other reason than they enjoy beating the fuck out of child molesters. No good people. And I Applaud these people. Let's go to prison. You ever seen that story? The second they get there, they start enjoying their time there. You know what I mean? As it should be. I have no sympathy for people that hurt women and children. None. None. They segregate you. They tell you what to believe, and then they enforce it with violence. I wasn't even fucking racist in prison. I toed the line. No one's bigger in the program. I did what was required of me. I was in, I don't know, maybe 3 race riots. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember hiding in my bunk for any of them, though. I don't remember laying down for anybody. My point is, you didn't have to be racist. And I chose not to be. Now I'm Irish, so if anybody understands Irish heritage, you understand that, like, if I was racist as an Irishman, my ancestors would be pissed. I think probably I'd be cursed for the rest of my life if I decided racism was a positive thing to bring into my bloodline, ever. So I never did. I never did. The idea that I can't be a free thinker in all ways is a lie, because I've already done it. I don't come to you in these videos saying we should try this. I live this. I live this every day. You got to think for yourselves, no matter what. There is no if, and, or but. You got to think for yourselves. You have to think for yourselves. Anybody, in my opinion, that's telling you how to think, you need to get that person out of your life. Anybody that wants to share data with you and then get your reflection on what you think about it, treasure that person for your entire life. How they look, how they dress, what they drive, what they own, none of that fuck all matters. Do they allow you to free think about anything the two of you encounter as friends or as lovers, as father-daughter, sister-son? Like, no matter what, these people that you care about, that you cultivate in your life, do they allow you to free think, or do they enable you to think for somebody else? Your best friend is your person at your job, and the two of you clown it up, but you're both working at a job that neither one of you likes. Is that your best friend? Or is that your handler at the work? So you keep not free thinking beyond the fact that you got to keep working there. I've never met somebody at a job that became one of my best friends. Never. The only common denominator we had is we both needed a paycheck. And I met some very interesting people. Some super cool people. But they're on their own journey, and I was on my own journey. And to work at a corporate institution of any kind requires you to, at some point, give up free thought. You know what free thinking does for you? It makes you work for yourself. If you have to earn money, you earn it for yourself in ways that you see. Every business owner in America is a free thinker. They thought about the fact they wanted to do it their way, and they're now doing it their way. Succeed or fail, all the little things. Knowledge needs to be gained or gotten rid of. But they thought about it and they decided. Free thinking. Free thinking. It's the whole point of the video. And you either think or you don't. You're either an action or a reaction. It's exhausting. I take every piece of information that I get that's new and I fact check it. And then once I fact check it, then I figure out whether or not I believe it. And if I believe it, and I see how it's applicable in my life, then I either decide to use it or discard it, because sometimes you get good information, but you already finished the task. So you're like, that's great for the next time. I'm glad I know that, but it doesn't help me at all right now. So I want you to gang up on somebody else. You better think about it first before you make that decision. You better be sure you got the facts in order before you decide that person's no good. You better make sure there's paperwork says that person's no good for you say that person's no good. And if there's no paperwork, if they're really actually good and it's just a smear campaign and you're at fault because you didn't think freely, that's a you problem. You now know. Are you going to do anything different or continue on the same path that you're on while you were still ignorant as fuck? What will you do? This applies to everything in your life, period. All of it. And I pose this question to you. And this is a serious one. If you can't think freely, and you can't act as you want, and you're not creating things in your life that you love, how are you not a slave?